Hey guys, this is just going to be a short tutorial video on basing models to achieve a desert base effect using the Citadel Agrellan Earth technical paint. This paint is a fairly recent release from Games Workshop, and it gives a nice sort of crackled deserty effect, like the cracked earth type of thing, and you can just apply it straight on and go with it with that, but I like to do a little bit more to it and use it to achieve quite a cool effect for some the desert bases on my Eldar army. So here's one of my Dark Reapers from the earlier video, and as you can see, his base is completely plain at the moment, not put anything on there. So before I start basing with the Agrellan Earth, I first want to base coat the base. In this colour here, this is Citadel Base Coat XV88. This is equivalent to the old snakebite leather, and you just want to paint that over the whole base to give it something to adhere to, and just make sure everything is fully covered and there's none of the black showing. I'm going to do that and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so with the layer of XV88 dry on the base, it's now primed and ready to receive the Agrellan Earth technical paint. Now this paint is designed to be applied in a much thicker layer than normal paints, and then as it dries it will produce a crackling effect, like sort of a cracked desert earth, which is exactly the effect we're looking for here. The thicker you apply it, the bigger the cracks will be. So a thin layer will produce sort of little cracks, lots of them, but just very little fine cracks. Whereas the thicker the layer, the bigger those cracks and the more sort of spread out they'll be. Now, two things when working with this paint to bear in mind is, firstly, you mustn't add water to it. If you add water to this paint, it will stop the crackling effect working properly and just give you a messy result. Second thing is to make sure you just apply it in one thick coat. You know, you're looking for about a mil thick, or well, maybe not quite a mil, but you know, a much thicker layer than you would with your normal paints. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and apply that to the model now, and once it's applied I'll show you what that looks like. There we go, so the Agrellan Earth paint is now on the base there. As you can see, it's a reasonable thickness of a layer, certainly much more than you would want when applying a normal paint to a model. You can also see it's a little bit bumpy. That's alright, that will actually help with the cracks forming, but this is going to take quite a long time to dry now. I would suggest leaving this at least overnight, and then coming back the next morning. Yep, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm off to bed, and tomorrow I'll show you the next step. Okay, so now you can see that the Agrellan Earth has dried and formed this very nice crackle effect that does look like sort of hard baked earth that's been exposed to the sun and hasn't seen water for months. And at this point you can leave it as it is. It's a perfectly acceptable way to finish your base. But I want to add just a little bit more detail and depth to this. So I'm going to start by giving it a wash in Citadel Reichland Flesh Shade. It's going to go into all the cracks and shade it all down a bit, and be the sort of the basis for a really nice overall effect on this. So I'm going to do that now and then come back and show you the next step. So now that the layer of ink wash has dried, you can see this base is looking a little bit darker and it's starting to have some shading to it. The other effect of this ink wash is that it's going to seal in the paint. This Agrellan Earth crackle paint has a tendency to flake off, but having that ink wash over it's going to hold it in place, which is going to be really important because the next step that we're going to apply is a dry brush. This is going to be with Games Workshop Terminatus Stone, which is sort of a dusty, sandy, sort of almost bone colour. So I'm going to dry brush that over the whole base. Then all we need to do to finish it off at this stage is to repaint the edge of the base in XV88, and then our cracked earth desert base will be finished. There we go, all done. So that's the base complete. It's a very simple design but quite effective, particularly when sort of as part of a whole army. So yeah, you can see it's a quick and efficient way to paint to base a whole army. Most of the time involved in doing this is drying time. The actual applying it is mere moments, to be honest, because it's all very very simple layers. So that's that done. Now you can add a few different things to this. This technique works well as a base for more complicated basing. For example, you could add a layer of Armageddon dust to parts of the base before you put the ink wash on. So parts of it would be more sort of just generally sandy, whereas other parts would have this sort of dried, cracked earth effect. That would look quite nice. You could also add a little bit of static grass to this, although this is a very arid sort of look to the base. You will get some sort of very coarse grasses that grow in the desert, so you could add those on for a little bit of extra, or really whatever you want, you know, little bits of scenery, bones, all that sort of stuff that you'd find in like a desert battlefield situation. But yeah, that's it. Hope you liked this little tutorial. If you did, please leave a like. See you later. Bye.